Welcome back to my channel. I just want to read something. Story time. This is at the executor's house. Out of the book, Women Who Run the Wolves. Woof. And here we go. Trying to take shoes off, too late. When the wildest nature has been nearly freak off. When the wildest nature has been nearly exterminated, in the most extreme cases, it is possible that a schizoid... Okay, listen, I can't read, actually. I lied. Schizoid deterioration and or psychosis may overwhelm the woman. She may just suddenly stay in bed, refuse to rise, or wander around in her bathrobe, absently leave cigarettes burning, 3 to an ashtray, or cry and not be able to stop, wander in the streets with her hair messed up, abruptly leave her family to wander. She may feel suicidal. She may kill herself either accidentally or with purpose. But far more commonly, the woman just goes dead. She doesn't feel good or bad. She just doesn't feel. So what happens to women when their vibrant, psychotic colors are mushed all together? What happens when you mix scarlet, sapphire, and topaz all together? Artists know. When you stir vibrant colors together you get a color called mud. Not mud that is fertile, but mud that is sterile, colorless, strangely dead, and does not emit light. When painters make mud on the canvas, they must begin all over again. This is the hard part. This is where the shoes have to be cut off. It hurts to cut oneself away from an addiction to self-destruct. Nobody knows why. You think a capture person would be relieved to have turned this corner. You think they would feel saved to a nick of time. You think they would rejoice, but no. Instead, they go into a funk. They hear teeth gashing. They discover they're the ones making that noise. They feel they are bleeding somehow, even though there is no blood. Yet it is this pain, this serving, this not having a foot to stand on, so to speak. So no home to go back to. This is exactly what is needed to start over, to start fresh, to go back to the handmade life. The one careful and mindfully crafted by us every day. Yes, there is pain in being served from the red shoes. But being cut away from the addiction to all once is our only hope. It is serving that is filled with absolute blessings. The feet will grow back. We will find our way. We will recover. We will run and jump and skip again someday. But then our handmade life will be ready. We'll slip into it and marvel that we could be so lucky to have another chance. And there's more, but I don't know if I'm a good reader for you guys. I can't read to other people. I'm nervous. But I know I smell damn good. These watches are in fashion, by the way, Casio. And if you're buying some expensive ass watches, you're not with it. Casio. Ooh, my turtle just got some more water and a straw. My turtle just got a straw, a metal one. And that's what happens to our oceans. Let's put a Q-tip in there. I don't know where my bookmark went. Oh my god. Found it. Right here. Back up. Yeah, this light's better. Teach me how to edit videos, somebody. That could have been avoided if I didn't know how to edit videos. Returning to a life made by hand, healing injured This is pretty long, so let's take a smoke break. When a fairy tale ends, as this one does, with the death or dismemberment of the protagonist, we ask, how could it have ended differently? Psychiatry. It is good to make a halfway place, a way station, a considered place in which we rest and mend after one escapes. Listen, I can't read. It is not too much to take 1 year, 2 years to assist one's wounds, seek guidance, apply the medicines, consider the future. A year or two is scant time. The Pharaoh woman is a woman making her way back. She is learning to wake up, pay attention, stop being naive, uninformed. She takes her life in her own hands to relearn the deep feminine instincts. It is vile to see how they were decomposition to begin with. You just need to buy this book. Someone buy this book for me. This isn't mine. Whether the injuries be to your art, words, lifestyle, thoughts, or ideas, and if you have knitted yourself up in many sleeve sweaters, cut through the tangles now to get on with it. Beyond desire and wishing, beyond the carefully reasoned methods we love to talk and scheme over, there is a simple door waiting for us to walk through. On the other side are new feet. Go there, crawl there if need be. Stop talking and obsessing, just do it. We cannot control what brings us into this world. We cannot influence the fluctuality with which they raise us. We cannot influence the fluctuality which they raise us. We cannot force the culture to instantly become hospitable. But the good news is that even after injury, even in the feral state, even for that matter, in as yet captured state, we can have our lives back. The psychological soul plan for coming back into one's own is as follows. Take extra special caution to care to lose yourself into the wild, gradually setting up ethnical and protective structures by which you gain tools to measure when something is too much. You're usually already very sensitive to when something is too little. So to return to the wild and free psyche must be made with boldness, but also with consideration. In psychoanalysis, we are fond of saying that to be trained as a healer-helper, it is important to learn what not to do as it is to learn what to do. To learn to the wild from captivity carries to some caveats. Let us take a closer look. The pitfall traps and poison baits laid out on the wildest woman are specific to her culture. Here I have listed those that are common in most cultures. Women from definite ethnic and religious backgrounds will have additional specific insights. In a symbolic sense, we are composing a map of the woods in which we live, where the predators live, and describe their mighty it looks like opportunity, but it's spelled differently. Operandi. It is said that a single wolf knows every creature in her territory for miles around. It is this knowledge that gives her the edge in living as freely as possible. We'll get back to this. People are coming. Teach me how to edit videos. Hey, do you know how to edit YouTube videos by chance? Okay. Regaining lost insight and healing injured instinct. Regaining lost instinct and healing injured instinct is truly within one's reach, for it returns when a woman pays close attention through listening, looking, and sensing the world around herself, and then by acting as she sees others act. Effectively and soulfully, the opportunity to observe others who have instincts will intact and central and retrievable. Eventually, the listening, looking, and acting in the internal manner becomes a pattern with a rhyme to it. One you practice until it is relearned and becomes automatic again. It is our own wild natures have been wounded by something or someone who refused to lie down and die. We refuse to normalize this wound. We call up our instincts and do what we have to do. This wildish woman is by nature instinct and talented, but because of being cut away from her instinct, she is also naive, unaccustomed to violence, adaptive to exploration and exploration. Lovers, drugs, drink, money, fame, and power cannot much help the damage done, but a gradual re-entry to the subtle life can. For this, a woman needs a mother, a good enough wildish mother. A guest who was waiting to be that mother. The wild woman wonders, what is taking you so long to be with her? Really, to be with her, not just sometimes or when it's convenient, but constantly. Okay, smoke break. If you are striving to do something you value, it is important to surround yourself with people who support your work. It is both a trap and a poison to have so-called friends who have the same injuries but no real desire to heal them. I have not read this section. I just read the first section and was going to read it, but kept going. These kinds of friends encourage you to act outrageously outside your natural cycles, out of sync with your soul needs. A Pharaoh woman cannot afford to be naive as she returns to her innate life, she must consider excess with a skeptical eye and beware of their cost to soul, psyche, and instinct. Like the wolf pups, we memorize the traps, how they are made and how they are laid. That is the way we remain free. Freedom is not free. Even so, lost instincts do not reside without leaving echoes and trails of feeling, which we can follow to claim them again. Through a woman may be held to a valet fist of prosperity and structure, whether she is one breath away from destruction through excess or has been begun to dive into them, she can still hear whispers of the wild God in her blood. Even in the worst circumstances, as portrayed, the red shoes, even the most injured instincts can be healed. Even the most injured instincts can be healed. To write all this, we I'm going to say that. That's not what it says, though. We recircuit the wild nature over and over again, each time the balance tips too far in one direction or another. We will know when there is a reason for concern, for generally balance makes our lives larger and imbalance makes our lives smaller. One of the most important things we can do is to understand life, all life, as a living body in itself. One that has respiration, new cell turnover, and waste material. It would be silly if we expected our bodies not to have waste material more than once every 5 years. It would be innate to think that just because we ate a day ago, we shouldn't be hungry today. Hashtag save the hungry. Feed the hungry. It is just as fatuous to think that once we solve an issue, it stays solved. That once we learn, we will remain conscious ever after. Conscious ever after. No, life is a great body that grows and diminishes in different areas at different rates. When we are like the body, doing the work of new growth, wading through la marta, the shit, just breathing or resting, we are very alive. We are within the cycles of the wild woman. If we could realize that the work is to keep doing the work, we would be much more fierce and much more powerful. If we could realize that the work is to keep doing the work, we would be much more fierce and much more powerful. To hold to joy, we may sometimes have to fight for it. We may have to strengthen ourselves to go full bore, doing battle in whichever ways we deem most screwed. To prepare for siege, we may have to go without many comforts for the duration. We can go without most things for long periods of time. Anything, but not our joy, not these handmade red shoes. Yeah, I get it. The real miracle of indivision and reclamation of wild women is that we all begin to process before we are ready, before we are strong enough. Okay. Before we know enough, we begin a dialogue with thoughts and feelings that both tickle and thunder with us. We respond before we know how to speak the language, before we know all the answers, and before we know exactly to whom we are speaking. But like the wolf mother teaching her pups to hunt and take care, this is the way wild woman wells up through us. We begin to speak in her voice, take in her visions and her values. She teaches us to send out these messages of our return. To those who are like us, I know several writers who have the blip taped above their writing desk. I know one who carries its folds up inside her shoes. It is from a poem by Charles Simic, and it is the ultimate instruction to us all. He who cannot howl will not find his pack. If you want to resummon Wild Woman, refuse to be captured. With instinct sharpened for balance, jump anywhere you like, howl at will, take what there is, find all about it. Let your eyes show your feelings, look into everything, see what you can see, dance in red shoes, but make sure there is one you made by hand. I can promise you that you will become one vile woman. Buy me this book. Oh yeah. He's cute, and you cute. He's so cute. Look at that. Look at him. Cutie. Thanks for tuning in to my story time. Twinsies. I can't turn off the computer. You're on top of it.